important dates in the NFL. That's June
Yeah.
1st.
Yeah.
And I want to explain this a little bit before I get into this. So for players' contracts, before June 1, any of the money that is on the player's prorated part of their deal, if the team cuts them or trades them after June 1st, that money rolls over from the current season you're in to the following season. So it allows teams to get financial flexibility. You keep hearing about Julio Jones, right? But there's so many other names this offseason, especially, who are going to be just guys who you're like, wait, he just got cut by his team. He just got traded by his team for a 5th round pick. So I want to start there, Jesse. And I know this is a little tough because, quite frankly, we don't know who's going to be available.
No.
But are there any players that are even free agents right now, or who could be free agents who you're looking at, who you want this team to target?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to speculate on who could be. That for me is so tough, and you can end up down a rabbit hole because there is a lot of guys, and I know that you've probably got a good list, and so I want to hear that list. But for me, I'll talk about positions. Okay, so for me, I would love to see another corner come on this team. I've talked about Poole many times. I love Poole. In fact, I would have had him over K1 if it was up to me. He's younger, he's healthier. Quite frankly, he might be better at this point. So I wouldn't mind bringing in a player like Poole. When I look at the rest of the team, I would say now don't be surprised if we bring in another running back, possibly, maybe a Le'Veon Bell type. That's somebody that I wouldn't mind looking at. I wouldn't mind bringing in another receiver. I know we talked about it, but Golden Tate is a guy that I've been talking about for weeks. I would love to have Golden Tate on this team. Let's see what else is there position wise. Another pass rusher. Another pass rusher. I mean, there's multiple guys that are out there that are good pass rushers. So there's a lot of players out there, or a lot of positions out there, that I would not mind bringing in other bodies to see what happens.
I totally agree. And quite honestly, Jesse, I do have a list of players that I'm going to throw out here. You just listed all the positions that I was looking at. I want to start with the 2 edge defenders I'm looking at. Everson Griffin and Melvin Ingram. They're both available right now. Now, I know Justin Houston's been thrown out there a lot too, but listen, any of these speed rusher type of guys, these guys who can line up opposite side of Nick Bosa, right? You want someone who can complement him well. And quite frankly, I don't want Eric Armstead being the only edge besides Samson Ebukam on this team.
Yeah.
And then even if we're talking about Samson Ebukam right now, he's a guy who's not going to be playing edge all the time. He's going to be a spy for some of the games that the 49ers play, especially in their own division. So absolutely the 49ers need an extra edge rusher, and both of those guys could make a lot of sense. A wide receiver that could be available post-June 1, Sterling Shepard. Now, I'm not the hugest Sterling Shepard fan, but if we're talking about wide receivers, he would certainly be wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 4 almost immediately on this team. And I think he would be a great add and someone who could fit into that Shanahan offense. But I want to get to the other position you mentioned, corner. Brian Poole. I have his name written down, Jesse. He is available right now. He's a free agent. I mean, maybe he's waiting to be signed. And that, quite frankly, that's what's happening with a lot of players this season. So I'm not surprised when I look up and down the free agency list and see some of these bigger names. But with him, he's a young guy who could easily come in and be that second cornerback for this team. I mean, I really think so. Another guy I want to throw out, Steven Nelson, who has had his own issues, but he's a really young guy, 26 years old. I mean, if I'm the 49ers right now, and we'll talk about corner more in a little bit, Jesse, but corner is one of the biggest issues to me on this team. And not only do they need to get more depth at the position, they need to get younger at the position, because if you look at the salary cap table for the 49ers, of the 5 starting secondary players, the 3 corners and the 2 safeties, only 2 of them are on this team next year. And then if you look the year after that, none of them are on the team. So the 49ers are relying on the fact that they're okay as is, and that isn't my assessment, Jesse.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Maximiliano is right there with us, says cornerback, edge rusher. So, I mean, it seems to be the glaring spots, all the spots that we talked about. I don't think there's anything else that we need to bring another player in, quite frankly.
No,
If we're going to round out the roster and make guys compete, then those are the spots to do it at.
Maybe even I would say an extra interior offensive lineman or a swing type of guy. But even then, the 49ers have guys on the roster who can fill that role. Now, I think there's probably better options out there, but the 49ers aren't out of options like they are at the cornerback position. I mean,
right.
Let's be real. Jason Verrette is one injury away from potentially just ruining this season for the 49ers. I mean, really, he is. And with his history, who knows? So you're really gambling with a lot if you're the 49ers. I mean, in the past 2 years, I was looking at this beforehand, Jesse, the 49ers ranked in the Super Bowl year or the NFC Championship year, they ranked first in pass coverage grade for PFF. And last year they ranked third. But then if you look at the first 2 years of the Shanahan regime, they're last in bottom 5. So on the one hand, they are okay at the position. They've been okay. And I think that's the reason why they're doing what they're doing. But long term, they don't have any solutions for the position